Hey everyone, and welcome to my craft room. It's Julianne Richards here, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in southern Tasmania. This is one of my tutorial videos for my September to December 2023 mini catalogue launch party. Introducing something a wee bit different with my launch party this time round. I'm actually including a full PDF with videos to all the cards that I created for this particular party. So that's 8 projects altogether, using lots and lots and lots of new products from the new mini catalogue. So hopefully, if you've popped along on the day, you'll recognise some of these cards and you'll be able to recreate them yourself. Or if you didn't purchase the actual live content, you'll be able to watch these videos from the links in the PDF and get just as much out of it and be able to create some of these cards as well. So yeah, welcome whichever way you're seeing these videos and whichever path you took. Anyway, so we're going to start off with this first card here. This is one of our craft along cards. If you've come along live on the day, this is one of the cards we're going to make together. So you will have received the kit to make this card in your launch party box, in your goodie box. It's really, really lovely. It uses the different sorts of gold bling for that pretty star there. And the star was made using the hybrid embossing folder, the Stars at Night dies with the embossing folder there, which come together in a hybrid embossing folder pack. So that's really handy as well. And as you can see, it gives that big star a lovely embossed look. So lovely 3D look there. That's that big one that's at the back there. But anyway, in your kit, I will have done all that embossing and cutting for you. If you're watching it this live, or you want to recreate this card from scratch, this one, I'm going to actually show you how to use the embossing folder to create that wonderful 3D effect on that one star there. Okay, so as I say, slightly different to your pack. Your pack will have all that already involved. This one we're going to start from scratch to a certain degree. Okay, the paper that we're using, this beautiful Night of Navy and Gold paper, is from the Shining Brightly Designer Series paper. It's got 6 sheets in there. It's got repeats, the same pattern, and I've only got scraps of a couple of them left because they've been so popular. Basically, you have the same pattern repeated twice. Once with stars on a backing colour, and you get that with the backing colour being Night of Navy. And then you get another one, which I haven't used yet, is stars on Very Vanilla. So you get one with stars on Night of Navy and one stars on Very Vanilla. You get this cute, really nice sort of tile pattern. So once with the Night of Navy backing, and then once, if I can find it, on the Very Vanilla backing. And then the third one is the leaves. So the one on top there is the leaves on Very Vanilla. And if I search around a bit, might be right at the back, is the leaves on the Night of Navy. So 6 sheets, 1 sheet of each. 3 same patterns, but with the different backing colour. So that's what you get with this one. Really nice and really shiny. And that's what we're going to use in this card. Okay, so check the PDF for all the measurements, but I'll go through them quickly here. The card base is Night of Navy, 8 inches by 5.5. I'll pop the centimetres in the PDF as well if you need those, but as you know, I work in my inches, but I will pop the centimetres into the PDF for you as well. It's, as I say, 8 inches long, and it's been scored at 2 and 4. Nice and easy. I trim the little, because our cardstock is 8 1/4 wide, so I trim that little 1/4 of an inch off just so that the 2 and the 4 are nice round numbers. We don't have to traumatise about quarters and eighths of an inch. So just burnish those 2 folds there, nice and sharp. And this is basically just a Z fold card. You've probably seen me do those many times. Then we'll make the card base first, then we'll come back to the decorating parts. We have a layer of Very Vanilla, and that would be 1/4 of an inch smaller. So that would be 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. she says, doing the maths in her head real quick. And if my glue will work, because I've just opened it up first thing in the morning, decided to get clogged up overnight. Hang on, bear with me. I'll unclog that, hopefully. That only ever works for a limited amount of time until it all comes out in a big splodge like that. Anyway, that's all good. And now I'm going to sneeze. Oh, bless me. Apologies for that. I sometimes think I'm allergic to glue. Wouldn't that be terrible in this line of work? Anyway, so there we go. So that's the sheet of Very Vanilla, the layer of Very Vanilla. You then have another sort of long, narrow piece of Very Vanilla, and that one's going to sit on the front. So the front of the Z. Let's see if we have any luck with the glue this time. I think it's got rid of its little clog. Okay, so that goes on there as well. So this one, again, is 1/4 of an inch smaller than the surface you're fitting it to. So that would be 1 3/4 by 5 1/4. We might as well keep on with this layering. We've got the Designer Series paper. Beautiful, beautiful. So this piece of Designer Series paper is another 1/8 of an inch smaller than the Very Vanilla. So it would be, let's see, 3 3/4, 3 5/8 by 8 5 1/8. Anyway, see the PDF for measurements. And the same with this one. So this would be 1 5/8 by 5 1/8. I think, yes. There we are. So that's our Z there. Pretty, pretty. So let's get on with the rest of it. We'll do our gold and our bling later. We'll get the basics done first. Okay, so for inside our card, we have another layer of Night of Navy and another layer of Very Vanilla. We're going to sit those just, as much as it's a shame to cover over that pretty Designer Series paper, we're going to sit that in the middle there. So, and I'm going to pop a sentiment in the middle there with my Stars at Night stamp set, which is the stamp set that comes with the dies and embossing folder in the bundle. I'm going to pop the Merry Christmas. I can find it. Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. Where are you? There. On the inside. And I'm going to use my Night of Navy ink, which hopefully I have here somewhere. Yes, I do. Bear with me. I had it lined up for the next video, so I had to grab it. So Merry Christmas. That block's a wee bit small. We'll go the next size up. Now, I've said many times, and if you are one of the ladies that bought my beginner's kit, beginner's class, you'll know I've said it many, many times in that course. Always pick a block that is comparable in size to your stamp. Because if you go too big, you can have ink accidents. We don't want that. The ink gets around the edges and can transfer to your work, which is not what you want. So there's our Merry Christmas there. We'll pop that on our rectangle of Night of Navy. Got my breakfast on my finger there. Should have washed my hands before I started. And I'll pop that in the inside. So what we're going to do, when we finish this card, there's another 2 little pieces there you can see on my left that it's going to go on the front of our Z. So we're going to want those 2 pieces of those 2 rectangles to cover each other over, if that makes sense. So pop this one in the middle so that when we bring this one in after when it's decorated, can pop that in the middle as well and cover over the one that's inside. Okay, so there we are. So what we might do is put our card base away for a second, and we'll come back with the decoration for the front. So you've got a panel of Night of Navy, same as the one we've just popped inside, and a panel of another panel of Very Vanilla. We're going to pop this panel of Very Vanilla through the snowy, and I haven't got one hand. This is also from the mini catalogue. It's the snowy snowflake, something to do with snowflake sky embossing folder we're using here. Actually, I'll use it a bit on the craft along cards. It's just a lovely little little embossing folder. So I'll grab my cut and emboss machine. And the embossing folder, got my embossing plate there. So you can see with this embossing folder, hopefully you can see that the snowflakes are really like intense and close together at the bottom, and they become more and more spread out as you get further up, so more sparse at the top. So I want this to have sort of like quite a lot of snowflakes. So I'm going to pop this one right down the bottom so that it's got lots of lovely snowflakes. I'll keep my embossing machine close because we're going to do our star in a second with the hybrid embossing folder. Okay, there we are. So that's our embossed panel there. You can see that. Really nice. Okay, so we're going to glue that onto our... No, sorry, we won't glue that just yet. We're going to add our ribbon. I should have Deb here to tell me to remember my ribbon. Anyway, we're going to use... So grab out of your kit your Night of Navy and Gold glitter ribbon. And we want just enough to wrap around that little Very Vanilla strip. So we're not doing a bow with this one. We're just using the ribbon as a backing for our star. So halfway up is where we want the ribbon, and we're going to tuck that around the back. So as usual with my ribbon, I get some double-sided tape. Put a fair bit of it on the back because I never know that I'm going to get the right position for my ribbon. Wrap that around sort of halfway. Halfway is good, but just eye it to get it sort of straight and sort of half. And seal it onto the double-sided tape at the back. I was watching a YouTube video or something on Facebook the other day, and this lady was showing us how she was making soap or candles or something, and she was pouring a liquid into a mold, and she had her camera like narrow, sort of like they have them for iPhones and things, like narrow and long rather, whereas this is wide. But anyway, she had the narrow look, and she was doing everything down here. You could hardly see what she was doing, and you could see everything that she had sitting on desk up here. She was way down here and she'd disappear. But I really wanted to just yell at her, please come up a bit further, because I really want to see what you're doing, because it was fascinating. Anyway, cool. Hopefully I don't do that. Keep a watch out. So I'm just going to continue and pop this piece of cardstock onto our Night of Navy layer. Now that we've got our ribbon secure. I don't know if you can hear that in the background. Stephen's watching his cycling YouTube videos again. Hopefully it won't interfere with my recording too much. That's his morning ritual. Whenever there's a race somewhere in the world. There we are. So that's our ribbon nice and firm in there, and our backing on with our beautiful snowflake embossing folder. Okay, so now we need to produce our nice big star, our big, beautiful star. So as I said, we're going to use the Stars at Night dies and the embossing folder. Now, there is a knack, and I'm sure you guys could do it if you put your mind to it. If you wanted to produce, all three of those stars together, you can pop them into the embossing folder, and they sort of semi-click. They don't click completely, and you've got to get them the right way, Julianne, on the right side. They can sit in there, and they will they don't snap in place so that they're permanently there, but they do find their home when you grab your, obviously much bigger than this piece of cardstock, pop it in, and you can cut and emboss at the same time. I might try that. Let's try it. It seems like I'm on my luck today. If not, you do them as two separate things. You cut them first, cut the stars first, and then position them in the right place. Let's try doing it once. So there's our die in our embossing folder. So the 3 stars that are in the embossing folder are there, lined up with the dies. I only want this center one, so I'm using a smaller piece of cardstock, which I'm just going to lay just on that center one. Bring the other half down. I've got to hold this really firmly, really, really firmly, so that nothing moves around too much. We'll grab our emboss machine again. Move that. And holding again very, very firmly. Pop that in there. Pop the cut. Now this is fingers crossed. I wasn't going to do it this way. I was going to do it in 2 separate passes, but let's see. I'll just show you how this works. Pop that through, and it cuts and embosses at the same time. If I was using all 3 stars, I would definitely do it this way, but with a larger piece of cardstock, saves 3 different passes. So obviously, because my cardstock was too small, I've cut those stars off because I'm not going to use those anyway. So I'll put those in the garbage. That's what's left of our gold. You do waste a bit as well, which I don't like doing because my gold is precious. But the one we want, and it's worked out perfectly well, is this one. And you can see it's cut it, and it's embossed it with those lovely star patterns as well. That's glorious, isn't it? Okay, so that's what you need to do. Oh, well, you won't need to do it if you've got your kit because I would have already done it for you, but that's the star that you've got. So what we're going to do now is layer up our star with the other stars from the stamp set or from the dies. I've got this one that's just popped out to visit me. This one here, which I've cut in our More Dazzle emboss specialty paper. Oh, so this one's gold foil, obviously. No prizes for guessing that. This one is the More Dazzle 6x6 specialty paper. So I've cut that in the smaller 4-pronged star. And this next size down one, I've cut in Very Vanilla. And the tiny weeny one here, I've cut in gold foil again. So that's the 4 layers of your star, and that's the 4 layers you'll have in your kit or that you need to cut if you're working along separately. What I'm going to do, and hopefully it hasn't clogged up, I'm going to add a wee bit of ink or glue to the center of each star and then layer it up with the next one. So we've got our beautiful gold foil in at the bottom, followed by our More Dazzle Designer Series paper or specialty paper. Trying to get it in the center. Okay, there. You've got a fair bit of wriggle room there because firstly our glue always gives you wriggle room, but you're also gluing sort of on foil, so that takes a wee while to stick. Then we're going to bring in our little Very Vanilla star. Now, how did I do that? I want to do it the same. So I lined it. You could go like that so that crosses like that if you wanted to. I'm going to line it up with the one underneath so that the prongs are lined up together, hopefully. And the final thing to go in there is our cute little gold foil star. Line that one up as well. And it's decided to stick to my finger rather than the cardstock. So there we are. So that's our beautiful composite tiny star. Isn't that gorgeous? I was actually thinking you could make lots of these, hang a piece of string on the back, and you've got some pretty, I might do a live video just on that, some pretty Christmas decorations for a homemade Christmas tree when the time comes. Not too early, but there we are. Okay, so that's going to go on the front of our pretty ribbon, a pretty cover of our card. Excuse me, I've got a dry throat. I'm going to grab a drink between these. Okay, so this one is going to sit on dimensionals just to give it that bit of extra. It already looks pretty 3D, but we're going to give it a little bit more. Now, you need to capture the ribbon in that, so make sure you put your dimensionals sort of as far north and south as you possibly can, if that makes sense. If you're using big dimensionals, probably can't quite go as south or north as you could if you were using the little ones. I've gone off the edge with that one. As you see, I've done there, but that's okay. I might bring in some little ones so I can put some more on those little star bits, star legs, starfish legs. Now, take those off. Now, with our sentiment, we're going to use this. Oh, you dropped it. We're going to use this sentiment box out of the Stylish Shapes die set. So you, as I say, if you've got your kit, you already will have it in there. If not, Stylish Shapes is a current product you can purchase if you haven't already. So we'll pop our little star there. Cute. Now, the sentiment box I've given you is quite skinny. So unfortunately, there's nothing. This one's like nice and skinny, but it's way too long. I wonder if I could fit it in there. I was going to swap out the stamp set and use another one. I wonder if I could actually, no, I won't. Don't play with it, Julianne. I'm going to use, this is one of our other videos, but one of the other bundles we're going to use for our craft along cards is Merriest Trees. I think this is one of my favourites this time around. I'm going to use the Love and Joy from there. Just it nicely fits on that little sentiment. And we put the Merry Christmas inside, which is fine. So at least we know what the card is for. And let's face it, it couldn't be for much else but Christmas. Although saying that, I don't want to judge. Use it for something else. Okay, so I'm going to grab my Night of Navy again. Pop my Love and Joy. So if you're choosing a stamp set from home to pop the sentiment, you want something that's going to fit sort of more towards one end of that sentiment box there. So leave a bit of a blank space at the end. So if you've got something that fits that size, and the only reason I'm saying that is because we're bringing it in. We're bringing it in under our she says she can't string two words together. We're bringing it in under one of the bottom prong of our star, and we're going to trim off the end. So we don't want to go too far, and I'll bring in my card base here. So if we say we put it in there, we're going to pop it there. Don't want it to come out too far on the right-hand side, or it won't go into your envelope. Okay. So we need it basically, the whole extent of your sentiment has to basically go from the bottom prong of the star to the edge of the card. So it has to be at most about less than 2 inches long. The sentiment has to be less than 5 centimetres. Okay. So, as I say, I'm going to, because I'm not using the whole, if you've got a really, really long sentiment that you wanted to use, I've just sort of realised you could probably bring it in and put it on top of the star if you wanted to. I'll bring that closer so you can see. So it'd have to go there, but it'd have to sit on top of the star if you had a really long sentiment you wanted to use. But I think the shorter one works best because you can tuck it under the star and trim off the excess, and you've got a lovely little sentiment there. Okay, so I'm going to trim off the left-hand end of that sentiment, just like that. That untidy end will sit up and under the bottom prong of the star, so you don't see it. Just sort of appears from behind it and goes out to the right. Okay, so we'll pop this on some dimensionals as well. Now, be careful if you're doing this that you haven't popped a dimensional just there at the bottom of the star, because you're not going to be able to fit your sentiment up and under, which would defeat the purpose a wee bit. And don't go too far off the end there. Don't go too close to the end of the banner as well. So there is our sentiment. I should have actually popped that on. Okay, some glue. Now it's only going to attach to the left-hand side, so just pop some glue on the left-hand side. Bring it in, centre, top, bottom and sides, covering over the inside panel that we've just put in, so the inside one with our Merry Christmas. Make sure you cover that over nicely, and then that sticks there. Okay, finally some bling. So if you pop to your kit again, you've got the faceted gem trio pack. So let's just explain, the trio pack's got all the same size gems. We've got a blue one, or blue-green one, a clear one and a grey one. I'm going to use the clear one. I'm going to show you a wee trick with how to, if you don't particularly want a clear one, how you can give it some colour. I'm going to pop these around. Now you might be happy with that being just clear, silver, whatever you want to call it, clear. There we are. So you might be happy just to leave it at that, but you might think they need a wee bit of colour. So what you can do is grab your marker or your blend, and I'm using my Night of Navy one here. Grab that. I'm using my dark Night of Navy. Just grab that and colour in your gems. Now be careful to let that dry before you go touching it or rubbing it on things or putting it in the envelope. This ink will have to dry. Oh, and be careful not to put it on the card, which I just did there. So now I've created a fourth colour that wasn't in the pack. I've created a Night of Navy one. Okay. See, they still have all the shine that they had before. Oh, trust me, they do. Can't quite see it in there, but they're a different colour and they match the blue from our card base. Okay, so I hope you like that one. That's our normal, just a plain old Z fold card, but it's made pretty special by that glorious star and that wonderful paper, both fighting each other to get your attention. But there you are. So hopefully you like that one. That's our one of our craft along cards. I'll do a bit of tidying up and come back and we'll do our second craft along card, as well as all our other wonderful projects from this year's launch. Okay.